blossoming star center fielder to help stay in the thick of the AL Eastern Division race.
He is one of the bright young stars in all of baseball. Adam Jones has helped lead the resurgence of the Baltimore Orioles in 2012. This weekend, the Orioles head south to Atlanta. Interleague play. Chipper Jones all smiles. His Braves just 3.5 out in the National League East following their 4-2 win over the Orioles here last night, and the Washington Nationals loss in 14 innings to the Yankees earlier today. It's the second of a 3-game series at Turner Field in Atlanta. The Baltimore Orioles and the Atlanta Braves. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Baseball Night in America. I'm Kenny Albert. The Orioles, one of the surprise teams in all of baseball this season. 10 games over the 500 mark, only 2 games out in the American League East. As I welcome in my partner tonight, Bill Ripken. And Bill, the Orioles off to a tremendous start, and they received a boost this week with the return of Brian Roberts, who had not played in over a year.
Yeah, 13 months Brian Roberts has been out, and I tell you this, if Brian Roberts is healthy, he's one of the better offensive players this game has. And it's been a long, long time since the Orioles have been this good for this long into the season. Brian Roberts has been a part of some of those lean teams. He's itching to stay out on that field, show he can contribute, and may be the factor to keep them in this the whole way.
And, Bill, the challenge for the Orioles tonight, they go up against Brandon Beachy, the 25-year-old right-hander who leads all of baseball in earned run average.
Yeah, all of baseball in earned run average. I tell you, if you would ask me to name an Atlanta Braves starter, I wouldn't throw him out there first. It'd be Hudson or Hanson. But here this guy is, Brandon Beachy, 1.98, leads all of baseball in ERA.
Beachy and Jason Hammel, the pitching matchup. Braves look to make it 2 in a row over the Orioles, who are out for revenge. It's interleague play on Fox. A lot of baseball history here in Atlanta. Ty Cobb, Warren Spahn. Baseball Night in America. Orioles, Braves, coming up next. And 27, their batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live boss. There's Brian Roberts. He will lead off, followed by J.J. Hardy. Chris Davis bats third. Adam Jones in the cleanup spot Then the catcher, Matt Wieters. First baseman, Mark Reynolds. Bottom of the order, Wilson Benjamin, Steve Pearce. And the Orioles pitcher, Jason Hammel, will bat ninth. Orioles getting set to face the 25-year-old right-hander, Brandon Beachy. We talked about him in our open. Record of 5-4, and he leads all of baseball in earned run average at 1.98. But he has lost his last 3 decisions.
And I think that's because he's fallen behind a little bit and his pitch count's gotten up. If we see him attack the strike zone, it's going to be a long night for the Oriole hitters.
Our opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. So Brian Roberts, who returned on Tuesday night, had not played in a major league game since May 16th, 2011, suffered multiple concussions. What a story. 3 hits in his return against the Pirates. Swings at the first pitch from Beachy and grounds out to the 22-year-old shortstop Simmons.
I call that attacking the strike zone right there. First pitch, 1 out off of Brian Roberts. But to go back to your earlier point, 3 knocks in the first game back after 13 months out. This game's not that easy. He makes it look that way.
Roberts now 5 for 19 since returning after grounding out on the first pitch of tonight's game. Here's the Orioles shortstop, J.J. Hardy, who has been hot as of late. 8 hits in his last 18 at-bats, a 4-game hitting streak.
And a guy that certainly has steadied the middle of this infield for the Baltimore Orioles. I think this was one of the better decisions the Orioles have made. We saw J.J. have his good years in Milwaukee. Kind of just toiled a little bit. The O's said, no, I like this kid. Let's bring him in. And he's proven to be a really good player.
Sends the 0-1 pitch into right center. And it is the center fielder, Michael Bourne, crossing in front of the right fielder, Jason Hayward. So quickly, 2 outs on 3 pitches as we check out the Braves defensively. Prado, Bourne, and Hayward in the outfield. Hinsky, Ugla, Simmons, and Francisco. Chipper Jones has the night off, and the battery of Beachy and McCann. How about this catch? Diving catch made by Michael Bourne in last night's game.
Well, talking to Adam Jones earlier in the day, he's talking about this outfield is made for Michael Bourne because he can flat out run. I mean, Jonesy's no slouch out there in center field. That's a big outfield, and he can use his speed out there.
So with 2 outs, here's Chris Davis. His 7-game hitting streak came to an end last night. Batting .304, 10th in the American League, and Davis falls behind 0-2.
5 pitches, 5 strikes. I think that would be the exact definition of attacking the strike zone.
The 0-2 from Beachy, missing high, his first ball.
Yeah, and he didn't want to throw that one necessarily in the confines of the strike zone. Wanted to see if Davis would chase that one a little bit. See what he does here. You don't want to go too deep. When you got really good stuff, you fall behind or you get ahead 0-2 and then it's 1-2. You want to try to finish him right here.
1-2 from Beachy. He strikes out Davis. So a 1-2-3, 7-pitch first inning for Brandon Beachy. the jersey the Braves wear on Saturdays and Sundays this season. That particular uniform belongs to Michael Bourne, who will lead off for Atlanta here in the bottom of the first inning against 30-year-old Jason Hammel. Braves batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live boss. Bourne will be followed by Martin Prado, then Brian McCann. Dan Ugley in the cleanup spot. Jason Hayward bats fifth, then Eric Hinsky. Andrelton Simmons, Juan Francisco starting at third tonight, and the pitcher Beachy will bat ninth. So it is Bourne, who has 4 hits in 10 career at-bats against Jason Hammel. He takes a called strike, 0-1.
Yeah, I think in this game, too, with Roberts back now and Michael Bourne, you've got 2 premier leadoff hitters in this game.
2 table setters, and Bourneville working on a 14-game hitting streak, a new career high for Michael. Had 1 hit in 3 at-bats last night and drove in a run.
And the 6 homers, too. I think that jumps out at you a little bit. It took him a while to get one, and then it seemed he went on a little bit of a flurry there.
You see his numbers during the 14-game streak.
And Hammel's got this 4-seam fastball he can throw up, but he's also sinking it a little bit better, too. So he's got 2 fastball weapons against these hitters.
Bourne called out on strikes. So a good start for Jason Hammel, who has not fared well in his career against the Atlanta Braves. 0-3 in 5 starts, but he strikes out the leadoff man, Michael Bourne. Look at Hammel's numbers this season, his first year with the Orioles.
Yeah, he's been a nice surprise, or not necessarily a surprise, but a nice find. I think it was in a situation when he came over in the Guthrie trade that it looked like 2 pitchers might have just needed a change of scenery, and it looks like it's going to work out for both clubs, because I think Guthrie can go eat up some innings for a club, but it was looking like they were looking for something a little bit more than just that here, and right now Hammel is supplying that.
Martin Prado, 5 for 9 lifetime against Hammel, working on a 5-game hitting streak. Now 1-1 on Prado. Hammel, 3 years with the Tampa Bay Rays, then 3 seasons in Colorado. He's 10th in the American League in earned run average as an Oriole this season. Now 1-2 with Brian McCann waiting on deck.
And Hammel's also an imposing guy. He is a big man out there on the mound. He's got a nice downward tilt with his arm delivery. That was really down with the arm delivery right there, bouncing in front of home plate. But that's a big man over there, throws the ball down in the strike zone. Pretty effective.
He's 6 feet 6 inches tall. His lifetime numbers against the Braves. In his last start in this ballpark, he allowed 7 runs in an inning and 2/3. Prado down on strikes, so 2 up, 2 down, 2 strikeouts for Jason Hammel. Look at the Orioles defensively. Pierce, Jones, and Davis in the outfield from left to right. Reynolds at first, Roberts at second, Hardy at short, Benevit at third. The battery of Hammel and Wieters. And how about that diving catch made by Chris Davis last night, Bill, his first career start in right field.
Yeah, and we talked with Buck Showalter prior to the game, people getting on him about this, that, and everything else. It's a pretty good play. He says he wants to go out there. He's willing to go out there. That's half the battle.
He has played over 50 games in the outfield in the majors, but last night his first start in right.
Well, once again, I think it's the attitude. If you go out there with the attitude where I can't go out there, or what are they making me do? Look, you're hitting in the lineup, you're swinging a hot bat. We got to find a way to get you in the lineup. Here's where you're going to play right now.
Brian McCann swinging the hot bat. Another home run last night, his 9th of the season. He's gone deep in each of the last 2 games for the Braves. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the first inning in Atlanta. 2-2 from Hammel, and McCann sends this one into left. Pierce is under it. A 1-2-3 bottom of the first for Jason Hammel. presented by Budweiser, is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Kenny Albert, Bill Ripken back in Atlanta. Baseball night in America. As we move to the second, following a 9-minute first inning, only 22 pitches combined thrown in the first.
And 3 combined punch-outs, which that's at least 9 pitches. So pitchers are hitting the strike zone.
And now Adam Jones swings at the first pitch and fouls it back. 0-1. He leads the Orioles in home runs and runs batted in, 6th in the league in batting average. And a number of those home runs have won ball games for the Orioles, 3 of them in extra innings.
Yeah, well, the Orioles have won their last 9 in extra frames, which is pretty impressive. And this guy seems to be in the middle of all that.
He leads the Orioles in runs, hits, home runs, runs batted in, and steals. No Orioles player has ever led the club in all 5 over the course of a season.
Well, you might as well just lock him up and put him in center field for a while then, huh, Kenny?
Sounds like a good idea. New 6-year contract. That's 5 behind Adam Dunn, who's gone deep 23 times this season.
Which, by the way, when you say Adam Dunn, I have to give you a ski haul because the big donkey is back. This guy right here, Adam Jones, when you watch him play, you wonder if because he does things so well and he's so effortless when he does them, we think there's always going to be more out of this guy. We really do. We don't know if he's reached his potential yet.
He's 26 years of age. There's Orioles skipper Buck Showalter. Only the Yankees and Texas Rangers have won more games in the American League this season than the Orioles.
Wow. I don't think anybody saw that one coming when the year started. You know, you look at the division they play in, and a lot is made of that. Look, the Braves play in a very good division in the National League East, but for years now, the American League East it seems to be the best division in all of baseball. And for the Orioles to come out swinging the way they have and have been relevant as long as they have now, it's a pretty good story.
Yankees won for the 39th time earlier today in Washington. Texas 38 wins. Orioles have 37. 2-2 from Beachy. Right field. And Hayward, forced to leave his feet, makes the catch for out number 1 as we check in with Matt Fesker in a DirecTV game break. Matt, what's going on with the Reds and the Mets?
Well, Kenny, Jay Bruce is hot. 5th straight game with an RBI. He's homered in 2 straight now. Reds trying to win their 5th consecutive ball game on top early in Flushing. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to Kenny and Bill.
All right, thanks, Matt, and thanks for letting Bill out of the studio tonight.
I think they kicked me out of the studio tonight. Matt Wieters, this is a quiet, good year he's putting up. Really has become a quiet leader behind home plate. I know that term gets used in baseball a lot, lead by example. But this guy goes out there and plays every day. He's a good switch hitter, but he has the respect and commands some respect out of the players on his team as well as that pitching staff.
Fans here in Atlanta very familiar with Matt Wieters. 3 sensational seasons at Georgia Tech. 2-time first-team All-American. Joining Nomar Garciaparra and Jason Varitek as the only players from Georgia Tech to be named a first-team All-American twice.
And closing out some games too, right? Catch an 8 and go close it out in the 9th.
That's right.
That's pretty impressive.
1-2 from Beachy. Ripped foul down the left field line. Orioles now 2 games out. Yankees beat the Nationals 5-3 in 14 innings. Mark Teixeira with the big hit, 2-run double in the top of the 14th.
And looking at that standings too, call me crazy. Boston's not going away, Kenny. As bad as things have been in Boston when you go back to last September, early this year. It seems like there's always something going on. They're still lurking. When they get some people back, they're going to play better. You can count on that.
Red Sox and Cubs underway at Wrigley tonight. 1-2. Beachy missing high. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes with Mark Reynolds waiting on deck. Orioles have already spent more days in first place this season than the last 5 years combined. How about that?
Wow. It's pretty telling.
It has been well documented. 14 straight losing seasons. 6 straight 90-loss campaigns. Since the Orioles' last winning season in '97, they have finished on average 28 games out in the division. On average.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they're not going to finish 28 games out this year. That's my limb. Might be a big limb. Might be a branch.
Left center field. Wieters flies out to Prado for out number 2. There's Freddie Gonzalez, who's done a terrific job here in Atlanta. Not easy to replace a legend.
Oh, absolutely not. But he was around Bobby Cox enough, and I think he's the right guy. And had the nod from Chipper Jones, too. You know, talking about, look, if anybody's going to come in here, which is not going to be easy for anybody, but Freddie was close to this organization, was around it, was very Bobby-like in a lot of ways and how he handles people. So it just seemed like it was the right fit.
First pitch to Reynolds, a called strike, 0-1. Freddie has a very easygoing personality. We spent a lot of time with him earlier today. And you mentioned getting the approval from Chipper Jones certainly went a long way to Gonzalez replacing Bobby Cox upon his retirement.
Well, when you think about the Braves, I think Chipper's one of those names you think about first. So if anybody's going to approve of it and people are going to stand up and take notice, it would be Chipper Jones.
The 0-2 and Reynolds strikes out. Second strikeout for Beachy. Another 1-2-3 inning. Middle of the second, no score in Atlanta.
I fire my gun right over here.
That is home plate umpire Ron Culpa wearing a microphone for us tonight, having some fun with The folks behind home plate. DJ Rayburn working at first. Jim Wolf at second. And the crew chief, Darrell Cousins, in his 34th season, is the third base umpire. Dan Uggla leading off for the Braves. Middle of the order here in the bottom of the second inning against Jason Hammel. Uggla leading Atlanta in home runs with 11. Runs batted in with 41. He has started every game for the Braves this season. Takes the fastball inside, 3-0.
Turn him loose. Turn him loose right here. He's got one thing on his mind. Love watching this guy play.
Uggla walks on 4 pitches after striking out 3 times last night. So we have our first base runner of the game. Tonight's game is presented by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. So with Uggla on at first, here's Jason Hayward. Bill, check out these numbers. Lifetime against Hammel. He's perfect, 5 for 5.
I'd say that's pretty good numbers. And I think it's enough of a little sample there to say, you know, he sees them pretty good. If it's 2 for 2, 3 for 3, 2 of them could have been gorked somewhere. Now, I'm not thinking 5 of them. I'm thinking he's squaring some balls up off of them.
Long foul down the left field line. Was there one pitcher in particular who you remember thinking, boy, I own this guy?
I had numbers off of a guy, but I wouldn't call it owning, because I remember some of them. One of them was a Baltimore chop over the third baseman's head. Another was a jam shot in between first and second. He didn't cover first base. I mean, these all resulted into knocks, but it wasn't like I really was just crushing the baseball off of them. I think I ended my career 12 for 17, which I'll take. One of them actually found the cheap seats. That was okay, too.
And this was against?
Oh, you want me to throw him out there?
Sure.
It was Bill Wegney.
There you go.
Milwaukee Brewers. My good friend B.J. Suroff called a lot of those pitches.
I knew there'd be at least one. Now Hammel running into trouble here in the bottom of the second inning after walking Uggla on 4 pitches.
The list was probably longer on the guys I was 0 for against, though, than in, you know, double-digit at bats.
I didn't bring that up.
That would be fair to say.
You brought that up yourself.
Got to be objective here.
Full count. Eric Hinsky waiting on deck. No outs. Bottom of the second inning in Atlanta. Uggla goes, payoff pitch. Hayward sends it to deep left field on the warning track. The catch is made by Pierce as Uggla heads back to first. So Jason Hammel retires Jason Hayward for the first time in his career. Hayward now 5 for 6 against Hammel.
Uggla off and running right here. Look at this. He touches the base. This is cool. Never panicked. He comes back and touches second base on his way back to first. There's a definition in baseball called halfway. What halfway means is you can go as far as the outfielder will let you, and in that case, it's all the way past second base and then coming back.
So with 1 out, here's Eric Hinsky. Diving play is made by Reynolds. They get the out at second, and safe at first is Hinsky.
Well, Mark Reynolds has had some issues at third base earlier this year, then spent some time on the shelf, but he has some pretty good actions over here at first base. That is not an easy play for any first baseman, let alone a third baseman coming over there. Hammel got himself in trouble by trying to reach at that base again. I think if he'd have caught that and just went on his merry way, I think he might have gotten the call right there.
One more look. As Hammel, I guess, did not have control of the baseball. Foot came off the bag.
Yeah, I don't think that he ever touched it. The view that I got of the umpire saying he waved him off the base, it had nothing to do with possession. It had everything to do with the actual touching of the first base bag.
There's DJ Rayburn, first base umpire. So 2 outs. Hinsky, short lead off first.
I don't think Buck's real happy right now. Did Buck look happy to you right there?
No. Simmons sends it into straightaway center. Now Jones a couple of steps to his left. And that will do it for the Braves in the second. We'll return to Atlanta after these messages from your local Fox station. In Atlanta, Bill, our Ford keys to the game.
Yeah, and right now it doesn't look like it's working either way. You know, the Orioles have to knock Beachy out of that top spot. He leads the planet in ERA. They haven't done it, and I wanted the lefties, you know, to lead the way off of Jason Hammel. They haven't done it either. So right now is the stalemate.
Wilson Betterman, the former Brave, leading off for the Orioles against Beachy here in the top of the third inning as we welcome in live from the Atlanta dugout. There he is, the veteran right-hander Tim Hudson. Tim, first of all, thanks for joining us, and your thoughts on Brandon Beachy's performance so far. He's retired all 6 Orioles over the first 2 innings.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You know, he's been tremendous, just like he's been all year. He goes out there and competes, and you know, pounds that strike zone and throws that good stuff over the plate down, and you know, he's when he's doing that, man, he's pretty tough.
Hey, Tim, Bill Ripken here. You know what? When I watch you pitch, I love that word you just used was compete, and I think that describes you perfectly. When we think about this kid right here, the keys to the game, I said he's got to pound the strike zone, can't get his pitch total up. Is it just that simple to throw strike one in this game?
Well, no, I mean, I wish it was that simple, but you know, he's just Beachy's starting to realize that you know, you can pitch deep into games and use those guys behind you to make those great plays behind you and keep that pitch count down. You know, it's great to strike out guys and it looks good on the back of your baseball card, but you know, if you can get that hitter out in 3 pitches or less and pitch deep into games, that's helping you. It's helping your bullpen, and you're probably going to have a good chance to win the ball game. Keeps those guys behind you in the game, and you know, you're not throwing a ton of pitches and having deep at-bats with guys and going 3-2 on everybody. So, and
I know punch-outs can be overrated, but when you can hit the Nats rear end with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball like he just did right there on a 1-2 count, we'll take that too, though, can't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He definitely has some swing and miss stuff, and when he's commanding that fastball and throwing that good breaking ball, that good cutter that he's been working on, he's tough, man. And the thing is he goes out there and he's confident when he takes a mound. He's confident that when he throws that pitch, he's going to get those guys out with it, whether it's hitting a spot or down in the zone. He's going to keep those guys behind him in the game.
The 0-2 to Steve Pearce, missing away following the strikeout of Wilson Benjamin. We're chatting with Braves veteran right-hander Tim Hudson. Tim, you face the Yankees on Wednesday, and a bit of a quirk in the schedule as interleague play continues. You'll face the Yankees again in your next start on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's not exactly how I like to draw it up, facing these guys back-to-back starts, but you know what? It is what it is, man. I feel really good right now how I'm throwing the ball. Obviously, you can always feel a little better physically, but I feel like I'm going out there and competing and giving the team a good chance to win. Obviously, I dropped my last start against those guys 3-2. Gave up a 2-run homer there late in the game to give them the lead, but I feel good about going out there and hopefully redeeming myself and giving us a good chance to win in Yankee Stadium.
Tim, with interleague play going the way it is, and next year we're going to have this thing bounced out throughout the schedule. In your mind, do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you like seeing new ballparks?
It's kind of exciting, especially for the younger guys to see some new American League ballparks. I'm excited to see the new Yankee Stadium and hadn't had a chance to see it yet. But for me, the number one thing is making sure that everything's equal. And I think next year hopefully they'll have a handle on that with the balanced interleague schedule. And I know this year we've kind of got a tough draw with our interleague schedule. We're playing some really good American League East teams. Like I said, we're playing the Yankees twice. We're going to Boston. We have these guys. We've been in Tampa, in Toronto. So it's nobody likes somebody that complains, but it'd be nice to have a little softer interleague for sure.
Well, Tim, thanks as always for joining us. Best of luck.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Another 1, 2, 3 for Beachy. When we come back, we'll chat with Nick Markakis of the Orioles. Night in America. Kenny Albert, Bill Ripken. Zeros across, bottom of the third inning, as Juan Francisco leads off for the Braves against Jason Hammel and takes a called strike, 0-1. Francisco, Beachy, and Bourne for the Braves here in the third. As we welcome in Nick Markakis of the Orioles, currently on the disabled list following wrist surgery. Nick, thanks for joining us. I know you are just itching to get back into the lineup.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. you know, it is what it is. It was an unfortunate injury, and you know, here I am on the disabled list, and you know, watching my team try to go out there and win as many games as you can, and you know, go from there.
And part of that is, how anxious are you to get back when you're sitting there looking? It's been a long time since you guys have been playing this well, this deep into the season. This actually has to hurt even more.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, especially first time on the DL, and you know, as well as we've played since I've been here. But you know, it's also been fun to watch. These guys are going out there and competing, and you know, like I said, it's just unfortunate what happened, especially the timing of it. But you know, hopefully I'll be back soon.
Now, the official question would be, are you swinging the bat yet? I know you're playing some catch, so that's your glove hand, but are you swinging the bat yet?
With permission or without permission?
That's right. I said officially, are you swinging the bat yet? Now I'm going to go unofficial after that.
No, I mean, I've picked up the bat, but, you know, I haven't swung it. Just trying to get a feel for it back. You know, I still have some weakness and some soreness from some swelling in my hand, but, you know, it's just a slow recovery. You know, there's not much I can do besides, you know, some therapy. You know, there's no structural damage in there. Doc told me I was good when he cut me open, and you know, he just removed that piece of that bone and sewed me back up. I think the procedure was 20 minutes total, and you know, I was in and out of there.
Brandon Beachy down on strikes. 4th strikeout for Jason Hammel. As we check in with Matt Vasgersian, time for a DirecTV game break. Matt.
Kenny and Bill to the Sunshine State. Dating back to last season, Tampa Bay has beaten the Marlins in 8 in a row. James Shields beat him just 5 days ago, but this 2-run single by Jose Reyes has given Miami an early lead today. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to Kenny and Bill.
And Nick, as we continue to chat with Nick Markakis from the Orioles dugout. Michael Bourne at the plate with 2 outs as Hammel has struck out 2 in the inning. Nick, Gold Glove last year, as we take a look at some of the plays you made from the outfield. And you grew up here in Georgia, Woodstock High School, about 30 to 35 minutes outside Atlanta. I would guess you kept a close eye on the Atlanta Braves as a kid?
Oh, I did. Yes, you know, I moved here when I was about 10, and you know, I had some memories of some games over in Fulton County Stadium, and you know, I've been to several games, you know, to here too as a fan watching, and you know, I enjoyed watching those guys play back in the day with that pitching staff and the team they have. It was you know, it was quite a joy to watch them, especially, you know, 30 minutes down the road.
Any posters on the wall?
No, I actually grew up a Red Sox fan, so you know, I probably, you know, as a kid growing up, I had those cards and posters of those guys. You know, it was funny being from New York. I get a lot of crack up with the jokes about it being a Red Sox fan from New York.
Michael Bourne grounds out to J.J. Hardy. Nick, thanks for joining us.
All right, guys.
Return.
Thank you.
3 innings in the books, no score. Today is the second to last day to donate to the Prostate Cancer Foundation Home Run Challenge. Any home run hit in tonight's game will earn $16,000 for each and every one. We have raised more than $1.6 million for this cause over the last few weeks. For more information, call 1-800-798-CURE or go online at pcf.org as Roberts squares and takes strike one. 9 up, 9 down for the Orioles over the first 3 innings.
Uh-oh, you didn't go there, did you? Yes, you did. I tell you what, we either start getting hits and scoring runs and having some fun, or we just go no-no a long time further.
No hits for either side over the first 3. As Roberts fouls it off to the left side, 0-2.
And the way both of these guys are throwing, it might be more on the latter side if they're not going to get any hits for a while. Impressive thing, too, both guys, Hammel and Beachy right here, not lighting up the radar gun, 96, nothing like that, 92, 93, hitting spots, mixing up different pitches, but throwing a lot of strikes. Beachy likes his changeup, too, because typically a changeup is not a really good pitch in an 0-2 count. The hitter's already waiting back, but his is a little bit special.
Called strike 3. That is the 5th strikeout for Brandon Beachy. Tonight's game is sponsored by the makers of Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. And by Jaguar. See the new model year lineup at your local Jaguar retailer. One away, here's Hardy, who flied to center his first time up. Beachy has faced 10 batters so far. He has struck out 5 of the 10.
And done it pretty efficiently. It's not 3-2 counts and then tricking somebody. It's when he gets ahead, he puts them away.
Beachy in his 3rd season with the Braves. He was not drafted, signed in July of 2008. Did not pitch very much in high school. Pitched only 10 innings as a high school senior. He was a third baseman in college at Wesleyan University in Indiana. He would pitch during the summer months.
So a lot of things run through my mind right there. Late bloomer, maybe. Maybe some of his coaches missed some talent and didn't put him in the right spot. But clearly, when you're in the big leagues pitching, there's something special about that arm.
3-1 to Hardy, and he rips another one foul down the left field line. Beachy played on a summer league team with the son of former major leaguer Pat Underwood, who was the pitching coach and worked with Brandon. Payoff pitch, and Hardy pops it up into the stands behind home plate.
Hardy putting a good at bat on him right here. It's in a 3-2 count, fouling some balls off, seeing a lot of pitches. See where he goes here. There's part of me that thinks that changeup that he likes might be coming out right here. Try to finish him. It was a changeup, just didn't get in a good spot.
Hardy awaiting the 8th pitch of this at bat. With 1 out, top of the 4th inning. Another foul.
He's throwing everything at him that he's got. Now you got to decide to hit your pitch or hit your spot. His changeup he left up and in. His fastball he's leaving it up and in. You can get something on the outer part of the plate down around the knees, he might get him.
Pitch number 9 to Hardy. And a nice scoop by the first baseman, Eric Hinsky. So Hardy is retired on pitch number 9. How about this broken bat home run earlier this week against Pittsburgh, hit by Chris Davis?
Yeah, and I don't think he got jammed. I think he got enough barrel on it, obviously, for it to go. A couple years ago we did a study on these broken bats. I'm not so sure what conclusion we came of right there, but I still think he hit that on the good part. Might have been just that bat's time to go bye-bye. Here's the last play right here. Deep in the hole at third. Like it. Strong throw. Check out Hinsky over here at first base. Calm, cool, and collected with the backhand pick. Thank you very much.
Normally that would be Chipper Jones to Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Not Juan Francisco to Eric Hinsky.
And Hinsky hadn't been over there that much, but that'll just tell you the skill set of these guys that go out on the field. A lot of people think Hinsky, big left-handed power hitter, hitting homers. He goes out there, that's a nice play right there, and not that easy as he made it look.
Martin Prado started at first base last night for the Braves. They hope to have Freddie Freeman back in a day or two. Problem with his left hand. The 2-1 to Davis.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman's had a little rough go lately. Can't seem to stay out there on the field. I really like him, not only at home plate. Big kid, but he handles first base extremely well. I even thrown some comparisons from time to time as Mark Teixeira over there, and I think he's the best glove guy in all of baseball at first base. I think people lose sight of the first baseman, how important they are. Yesteryear, let's put the big guy over there that can hit homers. If you put a guy over there that can play the bag, he makes everybody in that infield better. If you put somebody over there subpar, he makes everybody else in that infield not as good.
Payoff pitch to Davis. He takes ball 4, and the Orioles have their first base runner of the game.
Brandon's been going a little deeper in the counts right here, leaving a lot of pitches up. Some of the first pitch breaking balls seem to be just spinning out of his hand and staying high up in the strike zone. I wouldn't think that's a sign of fatigue. Typically, when you see a pitcher throwing a ball high in the strike zone, he's tired. I think there might be something wrong here. This is not a managerial visit to the mound. This is going out there with the trainer and having a conversation.
Beachy had some soreness in his elbow earlier this week. He was scheduled to pitch on Wednesday, but was pushed back to today.
He's done. Freddie's not taking any chances right there. Don't blame him.
So Brandon Beachy, who retired the first 11 Orioles before walking Davis a moment ago, is done for the night.
Let's see if we see any reaction at all in the last pitch. Yeah, I would say that's a reaction when you say, hey, B-Mac, come out here.
So Beachy heads for the clubhouse, back to Atlanta after these messages. Fox. Orioles and Braves, no score with 2 outs, top of the 4th inning. The Braves starter, 25-year-old right-hander Brandon Beachy, taken out of the game due to injury. So Anthony Varvaro will come out of the bullpen to make his first appearance in the major leagues this season. Pitched in 18 games for the Braves last year. Called up 3 days ago, so it's Varvaro on in relief of Brandon Beachy.
And you never want to see your pitcher leave, certainly. And we had a look at Brandon Beachy and what he was able to accomplish, pounding the strike zone like we said he should. You know, you got good stuff, trusted. He was throwing 3 pitches over home plate for called strikes. When you can throw 92 miles an hour down the middle to a big league hitter and they take it because they're looking for something else. So just unfortunate that something's not quite right with Brandon Beachy and he had to leave this game.
He retired the first 11, then walked Davis. Here's Adam Jones, who fly to right his first time up. Varvaro, 27 years of age, from Staten Island, New York. Originally drafted by Seattle in the 12th round back in 2005. Underwent successful Tommy John surgery that same year. 5 years in the Mariners organization.
You know, you mentioned the Tommy John surgery, and we throw that around quite a bit during the baseball season. It makes me wonder, with all the rules on pitch counts and this and that, is that actually working? Or is it when it's time for the ligament in the elbow to go, it goes? I mean, I just don't know what to think about that, because we're still talking about Tommy John surgery and blown elbows in this day and age of baseball we have pitch counts.
So much focus on the pitch count. You think back to the Johan Santana no-hitter a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Mets before the game said they wanted to limit Johan to 115 pitches, throw 134, and completing the first ever no-hitter in franchise history.
Well, there's some organizations to look at on that. You know, Nolan Ryan and the Texas Rangers certainly have the mindset of stretching some people out, I think. You look down in Tampa, you look at the Rays starting pitchers that come in, they all seem to be durable, throwing a lot of pitches during the course of the game. So I don't know if there's a right or wrong with this thing, but we're still talking about elbow surgeries.
Three-one to Jones, and he draws a walk. So back-to-back walks issued by Beachy and Varvaro. Orioles have runners on first and second with 2 outs, and Matt Wieters stepping in.
Now, Varvaro, he's going to continue to, not be around the strike zone. That's going to make the job for the Oriole hitters a little bit easier, where they can just zero in on a fastball. That's nice. Just as I say that, he throws first pitch breaking ball. Sometimes a first pitch breaking ball or an off-speed pitch gets you back on track to maybe find your fastball where you need to find it.
Matt Wieters, 3 seasons at Georgia Tech, high school teammate in South Carolina of Justin Smoke. Fly to left his first time up. Varvaro missing high, 1-1.
Not a bad idea, though. Throw a first pitch breaking ball for a strike. Try to come in on Matt Wieters with a fastball when you might have slowed his thinking down a little bit. Now it's back to 1-1, though.
Now 2-1 with Davis, the runner at second, Jones over at first.
Dangerous part of the Oriole lineup right here. Matt Wieters can certainly get you if you mess around with him. Mark Reynolds on deck. Yes, he'll swing and miss a few times, but if he buggy whips one, it's going to go a long way.
Now 3-1.
That's the difference, too, of not hitting the strike zone. That was a strike earlier when Brandon Beachy's on the hill and he was throwing strikes. That's a good pass. Matt Wieters is the type of guy, too. He doesn't need to look for a 3-run pitch on the inner third to maybe go right center or right. He can go out at all parts of this ballpark. Saw one out over the plate he liked, had a good run at it.
Payoff pitch. Runners go. And it's fouled off back behind third. Davis and Jones head back to their respective bases. Brandon Beachy, the Braves starter, retired the first two Orioles in this inning. He walked Davis and then came out of the game due to an apparent injury. Has been suffering from elbow soreness. Varvaro in relief walked Jones. And now the payoff pitch to Matt Wieters. Third consecutive walk. The bases are loaded.
I'll say that's a ball, and I'm okay with that because you haven't been around the plate, I guess, enough to warrant that call. I don't think Freddie liked it very much because Freddie's questioning right now, well, if one was up, that one can't be down. It's got to be one way or the other. So don't just make it a postage stamp all of a sudden. It's down. It's a big man, 6'6".
And a visit to the mound from pitching coach Roger McDowell.
Roger's giving a little pep talk right here. He says, look, you've been close on several pitches. If you can be that close, you can hit your spot. I know you can. Let's go. Limit this damage. 3 walks mean nothing if nobody crosses home plate.
So here's Reynolds with the bases loaded. Struck out back in the second inning. First pitch to Reynolds. Fouls it off, 0-1.
You know, with Mark Reynolds, too, and since the U.S. Open's going on, I believe they talk about club head speed. There is a nice fluid swing about this guy. I don't know why the swings and misses are as often as they are, but this dude, when he gets into one, it just shoots out of ballparks as a golf ball would off a driver. Roger did his job. He went out there, settled him down. First pitch strike's important, and not a strike that gets hit hard somewhere. Now he's quickly at 0-2, but now you've got to finish the job.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. 0-2 to Reynolds. Gets the bat out of base hit into left field. First hit of the game. 2-run score. RBIs number 19 and 20 for Mark Reynolds. The Orioles take a 2-0 lead.
And I don't know if he shook to this or not, but you're looking at a situation where it's 0-1 with a fastball, 0-2 with a fastball, and you throw an 0-2 breaking ball right down the middle. First pitch, it's a good pass by Reynolds. It's a little by him. Up out of the zone, that's by him. That's 0-2. And then this last pitch is going to be a spinning nothing ball that seemed to just be right down the middle of the plate that Mark Reynolds did not miss. Hits it in the hole. 2 outs, people are running on contact, 2 runs.
On the 0-2 pitch, Reynolds drives in a pair. First hit of the game for either side. And now Benjamin takes a called strike, 0-1. Wilson spent his first 9.5 seasons in the Atlanta organization. Now playing for his 7th big league team. And he sends this one into right center. Catch is made by the center fielder Bourne to end the inning. But the Orioles score 2. Thanks to Mark Reynolds. They lead the Braves 2-0. Game's first hit off the bat of that man, Mark Reynolds, who drives in 2 runs. Orioles out to a 2-0 lead. Martin Prado will lead off for the Braves here in the bottom of the 4th inning against Jason Hammel. Prado, who struck out in the first, takes a called strike, 0-1.
Now, Hammel had an awful long wait sitting in the dugout. You wouldn't have known it by that. That's coming out and peppering the strike zone again.
7 Orioles came to the plate in the top half, plus a pitching change and an additional visit to the mound.
That's my one problem right there, Kenny, is home plate umpires should call ball strikes. We got to mandate a rule where you always go to the first base umpire for the check swing. I'm not saying he didn't swing, but if the home plate umpire, if you just think about this, we can't do 2 things at once. If your job's to watch the pitch come up there, watch the pitch. Sometimes hitters with a lot of movement, they get called with check swings more because they move more initially, and then that catches the umpire's eye. I think it makes it easier if you just check.
No need to check on that pitch. Now 1-2.
And some of these guys are so strong when they start their swing with such a effort, they can stop it. But sometimes it doesn't look like it from behind. I think that's a case right there where you miss your spot by 18 inches. You're not going to get a pitch, even though it might have been.
2-2 from Hammel. Prado rips it into left, right into the glove of Pierce for out number 1. So with 1 away, here's Brian McCann, the guy that you spent some time around with the 2009 U.S. team in the World Baseball Classic.
That was a lot of fun. It was a long time. 1998 was the last time I had the big league uniform on. And I know the WBC wasn't necessarily Major League Baseball unis, but it felt good to be around the boys again.
McCann flies out to Pierce on the warning track in left. So now 2 away. McCann, a former All-Star Most Valuable Player back in 2010 in Anaheim. This July, don't miss the biggest event of the summer as baseball's greatest stars battle for home field advantage in the Fall Classic. The road to the World Series begins with the All-Star Game, Tuesday, July 10th, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on Fox. Brian McCann, the only major leaguer who has played in the last 6 All-Star games.
Really? Wow, Kenny, that is awesome stuff right there.
Now, Derek Jeter has been selected
for
the last 6, but did not play last year.
Was it last year or the year before? They all run together to me, Kenny.
Well, only McCann has played in the last 6. This is Dan Uggla.
And I tell you what, Brian McCann is a good player. It's amazing because it's a catch-22 that you have a cleanup hitter or a 3-hole hitter that also catches for you. And when you lose him, you're losing 2 spots in that rotation.
Here's Hammel off the mound. Uggla is retired. A 10-pitch, 1-2-3, 4th inning after the long wait for Jason Hammel. Cash prizes. It's as easy as picking a player, picking a stat, and starting a hot streak. Plus, pick 15 straight correctly and win $15 in Fox Sports shopping bucks. Log on to foxsports.com/fantasy and start your streak today. A fantasy type game for Steve Pearce on Thursday against his former team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. He drove in 5 runs. He was acquired by the Orioles just 2 weeks ago in a deal with the Yankees. He had been playing for the Yankees AAA team in name Scranton, but in actuality based in Rochester, New York, because of stadium renovations in Scranton, Pennsylvania this year. So they really have no home. They go on extended road trips.
Yeah, that's no fun right there. You know, you've had the big league taste before, and you're playing in AAA #1. Not that enjoyable. Now you're extending every road trip out. But just to go back to that career game against one of his former teams, being the Pirates, it's got to be a good feeling right there. Everybody who goes out there on the baseball field wants to compete and get after it. But when it kind of rolls against your other club that you've been a part of, it feels a little better.
Pierce with the second hit of the game for the Orioles. Matt Wieters also drove in 5 runs in that game against the Pirates on Thursday. As we take one more look at the leadoff single off the bat of Pierce. It was only the second time in Orioles franchise history 2 players had at least 5 runs batted in the same game. The first instance right here in this ballpark, June 13th, 1999. Will Clark drove in 5 runs for the Orioles.
Junior did it.
And a fellow by the name of Cal Jr. drove in 6 as Hammel does his job moving Pierce over to second. So with 1 away and a runner in scoring position, third at bat of tonight's game for Brian Roberts, as we take a look at the active players who have spent the most seasons with one team. Chipper Jones leading the way. And how about Brian Roberts, now in his 12th season with the Orioles?
That's impressive when you start to see these numbers with one team, but I'm not slighting you, B-Rob, but look up there. There's 2 guys, Mo and Jeter. You got 2 Yankees at 18. That's impressive right there. And, of course, we see Chipper leading the way at 19.
Chipper Jones not in the starting lineup tonight for the Braves. We'll be back tomorrow. Day game after a night game as Roberts takes a called strike. He struck out his last time up and grounded to short back in the first inning. Pierce takes his lead off second. 1 out, top of the 5th inning.
He can hit.
This drops in for a base hit. Pierce will score. Roberts on his way to second, and he is out.
It's a nice play right there. It really is. Simmons, that ball must have been offline, because in order to make that determination to do that, usually it's a lineman thing, and you very rarely see somebody get thrown out at the big league level on a relay like that. It usually comes all the way through. I'd like to see if Martin might have taken him offline a little bit, but what a great decision if he did it, because he caught it, got rid of it so quick with some pace, and it's an out. Yep, he had to go offline. That is a great play by the young shortstop.
So Roberts drives in his second run and then is tagged out trying to stretch from first. And when we spoke to Freddie Gonzalez, asked him what has impressed him the most about his young shortstop Simmons in his limited time with the Braves, he said immediately defense.
Right, and then he threw out athletic. And that right there is an athletic play. Number one, you're heady enough to be in perfect line, and that's part of the responsibility of Dan Uggla, getting him in the right line. Martin Prado playing multi-positions, understanding a lot about the game. He got it back into a hurry. That was good. I get that. And then Simmons went offline, relayed it, out at second.
And now Hardy strikes out to end the inning, but the Orioles had a run. There's Roberts out at second. He drove in the run. Now 3-0 O's. Who drove in the third Baltimore run. We take you back to September of 2010. The first concussion suffered by Brian Roberts. And then at Fenway Park, May of 2011 on the head-first slide at the first base.
And I think Brian Roberts has always been a head-first type guy. And that last play when he got thrown out at second base, I would argue if he didn't have these concussions, he would have been safe at second base, because it's going to be a lot easier to get around a tag when you have two hands as the option, as Hayward just got sawed off right there and B-Rob to first for the first out. But this is the play I'm talking about. Once you slide feet first, you're locked. Okay, he has no other choice, and I would argue if 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Brian Roberts is safe at second base because he's going in with two hands on a head first slide, he's going to pull the right one back, and he would have been able to touch the base with his free hand.
But instead he was tagged out by Ugla. One away, here's Hinsky. Two balls, no strikes. Jason Hammel has retired the last 10 Braves he has faced. Hinsky pops it up. Hardy backpedaling and shallow left, 2 out. Today's game presented by Budweiser is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. So now 2 outs, bottom of the 5th inning. Braves have had only one base runner. Ugla walked, leading off the 2nd inning. Here's Simmons, who flied to center his first time up. First pitch, Roberts charging. Another quick inning, a 6-pitch 5th for Jason Hammel. So the Orioles take a 3-0 lead into the 6th. Adam Jones due up second when we come back. Sponsored by the 2012 Ford F-150, built Ford Tough. And by MasterCard. Shop and pay your bills online with MasterCard prepaid cards. Top of the 6th inning here in Atlanta. Kenny Albert, Bill Ripken. Here's Chris Davis leading off for the Orioles against Anthony Varvaro. Brandon Beachy, the Braves starter, retired the first 11 batters he faced. Then he walked Davis. in the top of the fourth and left the game due to an apparent injury. Varvaro would then walk Jones and Wieters, and then Mark Reynolds drove in the first 2 runs of the game. Orioles added a run in the 5th and lead 3-0 as Davis bounces out to the first baseman Eric Hinsky. Buck Showalter now in his 3rd season as Orioles skipper. Adam Jones, a big fan of Buck.
It starts with our manager, and he gives us that inspiration. Look, you don't care who these guys are. We can go out and we can compete. We can play against these guys. And then it comes down to 25 men and our 7 coaches. It's everybody in that clubhouse. You know, you can't narrow it down to anybody. It's just we all have that will to win collectively. You know, no matter who does it, we're all pulling for everybody, from the first guy to the 25th. And you know, if we get the W, I think we're all happy, no matter how our individual performances were.
Yeah, and you know what? His first mention right there, Kenny, was to Buck Showalter. There's some mutual respect going on back and forth between Buck and Adam Jones. I don't know how it was early on with the two when Buck came over here, and I'm not speculating it wasn't good, but you can see something going on. Buck Showalter, when he talks about Adam, there's a little gleam in his eye about this guy. He's got a motor, and one of Buck's terms, he cares. That's what Buck wants on his field, guys who care about this game, and certainly Adam Jones does.
One of the leaders of this Orioles squad. They're 10 games over 500. Record of 37-27. Winning record on the road. Just 2 games out of the division. The 0-2, and Jones fouls it off to the right side.
It's an 0-2 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Yes, Adam was behind it a little bit, but that tells me he's seeing the ball pretty good, because that's an aggressive hack right there. There wasn't too much difference between an 0-2 hack on that fastball than if it was a 2-0, 2 balls, no strike count. So he's seeing the baseball pretty well right now.
26 years of age, grew up in San Diego, began his career in Seattle. What a deal for the Orioles.
Told you he was seeing it really well right now, Kenny. I'm just saying, I told you he was seeing it really well.
You're seeing it really well tonight.
I didn't see that one very well, I'll tell you that.
So a 2 away. Here's Matt Wieters, who has fly to left and walked. An injury update, Bill, on Brandon Beachy, the Braves starter. A recurrence of the right elbow soreness. He will be further evaluated later on.
Means I'm sure the MRI's coming out, some more tests if need be, but pretty sure they're going to err on the side of caution here. If he had it prior and they just kind of monitored and they went out there, I wouldn't be surprised preliminarily if they just shut him down a little bit while they figure out what's going on.
So tough news for the Braves. Beachy coming into play today, leading all of baseball in earned run average. Wieters grounds out to Ugla. Middle of the 6th. Michael Bourne will bat 3rd when we come back. 3-0 Orioles here in Atlanta.
Cubs, Jared Saltalamacchia started the day for 1 for his last 22, but his 2-run home run makes it 2-0 Red Sox in the middle of the night. How about the Reds and Mets? Cincinnati starting the day, winners of 4 straight and on top in the Central, doing nothing to hurt that tonight. Ryan Ludwig's 4th inning single making it 4-1 Reds. Back to Kenny and Bill in Atlanta.
All right, thanks very much, Matt. Here's Jason Hammel, who has thrown only 57 pitches over the first 5 innings, 16 over the last 2 combined. 1 base runner for the Braves. Ugla walked back in the second, and now Hammel falls behind 2-0 to Francisco.
And Francisco's playing third today, as you mentioned, Chipper with the night off. And I think what Freddie's thinking about is with Chen throwing tomorrow, day game, McCann might have the night off. You'll see Chipper back in there. And his point is, look, I can't go without Chipper and McCann in there. And I think a lot of people would look at that lineup and say, well, man, Chipper's not playing. But Freddie's thinking about this. It's not just the next day, the next. He's thinking a week down the road, you know, especially now with the Beachy, elbow problem flaring up. You know, he's got to make some other moves. So the manager, it's just not day to day. They're thinking well ahead.
Francisco grounds out to the second baseman Roberts for out number 1.
Now, we documented that lefties don't do the job off of Hammel. And here's Hayward. That is Kitchen. That was a loud crack bat. And then he gets Hinsky right after that. And as I said before, Kenny, he's not lighting up the radar gun with 96. There's some form of deception, whether he's cross-firing or he's hiding it from the left-hand hitters. They just don't do as well off of him as right-hand hitters do. Tonight, no hitter does very well.
And now it is a pinch hitter, Jack Wilson, batting for the pitcher Varvaro. Wilson with 1 hit in 5 at-bats off the bench this season, and it came last night. His first career pinch hit triple. And he scored a run in the 6th inning.
It's hot.
Braves winning last night's game 4-2. Excuse me, Bill.
Freddie was thinking about that as soon as he hit that triple. He said, they got my pinch hitter. That's the first guy coming up. I think a lot of cases the fans are watching the game and it's a very superficial thing that's going on out there in the field. But the managers, they're deep in thought and they're thinking well ahead of the situation. The other thing is Francisco, Chipper couldn't have played today, and then he's not throwing Francisco out there tomorrow because Chen's pitching, the left-hander for the Orioles. So everything comes into play when you're making these decisions.
Wilson down on strikes. Hammel has retired 14 in a row. In Hammel's last start against Philadelphia on Sunday, ran into some trouble early, retired the last 7 batters he faced in that game. So now with 2 away, here's Michael Bourne, who is second in the league in hits with 87. He is 0 for 2 so far tonight. Only the former Brave, Melky Cabrera, with more hits.
Man up there. You really think the Giants knew what they were getting when they pulled Melky off like that? Said he's going to be leading the league in hitting right now, or with hits?
On his 4th team, he went from the Yankees to the Braves to the Royals. Terrific season out in San Francisco. 2-0 to Bourne. Caught by Hardy. Zeros across for the Braves through 6. Another 10-pitch inning for Jason Hammel. Only 67 pitches through 6 innings. Orioles lead the Braves 3-0. 30-year-old right-hander Cristian Martinez, the third Braves pitcher of the night. Brandon Beachy, the starter, went 3 2/3, did not allow a hit, did allow a run, and then left due to recurring right elbow soreness, replaced by Anthony Varvaro, who allowed 2 runs on 3 hits and 2 1/3. And now Martinez will face Reynolds, Bennett, and Pierce. Orioles 2 runs in the 4th, a run in the 5th, and Reynolds drove in the first 2. And the bases loaded, single to left field. That gave the Orioles a 2-0 lead in the 4th inning. And now Reynolds to lead off here in the 7th. As interleague play continues. And Bill, I'm sure you know the answer to this. Back in 1997, who drove in the first ever run in interleague play in Major League Baseball?
Well, that was one Bill Ripken.
You are correct.
Yeah, thought I'd throw that one out there. That was it. That wasn't even a setup either. I can't believe you guys actually knew that. The next day in the paper, because it was San Francisco and Texas Rangers in our ballpark. It was a night game. It was kicking it all off. And the next day in the paper, you won't find it. Damon Buford was on first stolen base. First run scored was Damon Buford. I drove him in. They just blew me off. Didn't even say it. Killing me, Kenny.
Reynolds down on strikes, as long as we remember 15 years later.
We'll keep talking about it. We'll never forget.
That was back on June 12th, 1997. Time now, as we move on, Bill, the Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat. It is not who drove in the first runner into the league play. It is most career wins amongst current American League managers. Buck Showalter, 4th on the list as Bennett takes a called strike. Just as the Tigers, Red Sox, Angels, and Orioles can count on these managers, you can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results.
You know, we can talk a little bit about Buck Showalter there being on that list. And in my opinion, you know, he was in New York with the Yankees, right? Did some things there. I think things were pretty good when he was doing things there. He leaves, they end up winning. He goes to Texas. He was in Arizona. It seems he hasn't been able to stay in one spot long enough to actually reap some of the awards or rewards and benefits of winning some championships. But I think he's the type of guy that lays so much foundation down. And when he gets his hands into something, I think he's an organizer. There's a method to his madness. He puts everything into place. And those 3 places I just mentioned have all gone on and done some pretty incredible things in the baseball world. And I think Buck deserves a little bit of credit for those 3 organizations doing some things in the manner that they've done them.
And not only did the Yankees win the World Series in '96, the year after Showalter left, so did the Diamondbacks in 2001, the year after he left Arizona. So you're right, even though he was not there to reap the benefits, certainly a huge part of the buildup to those championships.
And with Arizona, it's very interesting because he was in place when they weren't even playing games. You know, he was laying the whole foundation down for everything. The expansion draft, you know, he had his hands in that. So building something from the get-go, from the start, is what he had a hand in there.
Now in his 3rd season in Baltimore, as the Orioles playing very well off the glove of Uggla. So a 1-out base runner for the Orioles here in the 7th.
It's a tough play right there for Dan. I think when Wilson hit that, he had a lot of hook on that. Went out there and hooked it, smashed it. That ball comes up, hits him in the thumb. I think that's a knock for sure.
It is ruled a hit for Wilson Bennett. 4th of the game for the Orioles.
The fact of the matter there is you either catch it or you don't. And I don't think that's one that kind of glares out there. I don't even think that's debated, whether that's a hit or an error.
So here's Pierce, who singled his last time up, and he takes a called strike from Martinez, 0-1. Orioles lead the Braves 3-0. Top of the 7th here in Atlanta. 0-1 to Pierce. Base hit into left field. So the Orioles threatening here in the 7th with 2 on and only 1 out. Well, next Saturday on Baseball Night in America, interleague play continues. Braves will head to Fenway Park to take on the Red Sox. Nationals battle these Orioles. Yankees and Mets, Brewers and White Sox, Dodgers and Angels, Giants and Athletics. Baseball Night in America, presented by Budweiser, beginning next Saturday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Fox. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. So Benedict takes his lead off second. There's Pierce over at first following his second hit of the game. Infield in with the pitcher Hammel, who sacrificed earlier at the plate.
Yeah, and this is the one thing here in interleague play, and I know the Orioles are winning this game, but this is where the American League clubs are at a little bit of a disadvantage than the National League clubs. Hammel, even though he gets the bunt down, it's something that they're really not doing. In that situation right there, Buck wanted him to get in and out of the batter's box without any injury, put the ball down and see what happens, get back in the dugout and rest up. But they just don't do it enough to sit here and actually play under these rules, in my opinion, during interleague play.
And next season, with the Houston Astros moving over to the American League, there will be at least one interleague game every day.
Right, and then when you look at it, now your American League clubs are going to have to, throughout the year, have their pitchers doing things and things. I'm not saying it can't be done because the National League clubs do it. The DH is not going away. I don't think that is ever going to happen. The Players Association won't allow it. And I just don't understand how this thing moving forward is going to work very smoothly under this current rule setup.
We shall see. Orioles with runners on second and third, 2 outs. Roberts, an RBI single his last time up. Nice block by Brian McCann.
It's a real nice block right there. What you see right there is I think McCann thought that it was going, to his backhand side, and he started to shift over there. It looked like take the backhand, and then halfway through it changed his mind and got the forehand side involved. That's impressive how he's able to do that and deaden the ball with a man on third base right in front of home plate.
Martinez missing away, now 2-1.
Blocking balls, handling the pitcher, I would put 1 and 2 above, throwing runners out. And let me backtrack a little bit. I would say handling pitchers is 1. Blocking balls in the dirt would be 2. Throwing runners out is 3. As far as, being a good catcher. You don't have to have the best arm in the world. If you understand what hitters are thinking about in the box, how you relate to your pitchers and how you handle them, that's 1. But then keeping runners on bases with balls in the dirt, that's 2. In this stat-driven world we live in, Kenny, do we keep anything on catchers? Keeping people on the bases by doing a good job, by being, hounds down there? Look at Brian Roberts. It's 2 more ribeyes.
Orioles now lead 5-0. Roberts with 3 runs batted in tonight as Benedict and Pierce score.
Is that not like a free agent signing right there that the Orioles just did? Brian Roberts has been out 13 months. You got a club that's hanging in here in the top of the division. You get a Brian Roberts back. Like I said before, when he's healthy, he's one of the best offensive players this league has. This league, the other league, whatever league you're talking about.
2 hits, 3 runs batted in tonight for Roberts. Since his return in 5 games, he is now 7 for 22. Here's J.J. Hardy, 0 for 3 tonight.
And this is one of the situations when you think about the concussion problems that he had, missing as much time. He was one of the best base stealers the game had, too. He really studied the pitcher, got great jumps. You wonder in that situation, especially now up 5-0. Does Buck Showalter even say, you know what, Brian, you're on your own? No, he's not risking that right here. I think it'd probably be more valuable to keep him in the ball game, keep him in this situation. He's going to score on a double. That's the way he might be thinking.
And you saw his batting helmet with the double ear flaps for extra protection. Roberts said earlier this week, function overlooks.
Yeah, because it's not attractive. I mean, let's be honest right there. There he goes.
Roberts goes, the 0-2 to Hardy, and he fouls it off to the right side.
Take a look at Brian Roberts out there. You see how he had a little bit of a first false step. I mean, he gets out there and kind of lulls the guy asleep, and then all of a sudden, boom, first step gone. When he was out there every day, he could steal a base almost at will.
Career high 50 steals back in 2007. Roberts bluffed, and Hardy fouls it off towards the Orioles dugout. Orioles 5 runs on 6 hits. For the Braves, zeros across, only 1 base runner.
Brian is feeling it. He's got his 2 knocks in, driving in some runs. Let's go out here and play the game. It looks like he wants to run. Right there, right before the throw over, he had that false step again where it looks like he's stationary, but he's taking that right foot and putting it out there a little bit further. Like he's creating a little momentum from nothing to get going.
The 1-2 from Martinez, a called strike 3. So Hardy is down on strikes, but the Orioles score 2 runs, extend to a 5-0 lead as Jason Hammel gets set to come back out. 7th inning stretch time in Atlanta. Presented by Budweiser and sponsored by Prudential. Prudential, bring your challenges. And by the all-new Mazda CX-5 with 35 highway MPG. Baseball Night in America from Turner Field in Atlanta. Kenny Albert, Bill Ripken. Bottom of the 7th inning there is Jason Hammel. 30-year-old right-hander born in Greenville, South Carolina. High school out in Washington State. 10th round pick of the Tampa Bay Rays back in 2002. Career high 10 wins twice with Colorado. As we take a look at 4 of the pitchers who have thrown no-hitters this season, and then the note on the bottom, the combined no-hitter by 6 Mariners pitchers. Matt Cain with the perfect game out in San Francisco this past Wednesday night.
I guess we didn't have a big enough screen to put 10 pictures up there, did we? I like that 6-person combined no-hitter. The game was in the balance the whole way. The manager is using the pitchers accordingly with matchups. This game, in a lot of cases, I think no-hitters fall into this category. And he's already walked somebody, right? Jason's already walked somebody. So now you have a chance to go out there. You got a 5-run lead. You get to play a little bit. And here's that walk we were talking about through 4 straight ones.
I think one of the big keys, he has thrown only 67 pitches through 6 innings. Hammel, in his Orioles debut back on April 8th against the Twins, took a no-hitter into the 8th inning. By the way, that Mariners combined no-hitter, the starter, Kevin Millwood, who pitched for both the Orioles and the Braves.
But he came out of the game with a little groin problem there. And you wonder right there, if he doesn't tweak a groin, do they even get the no-hitter? You know, when you start bringing matchups out of the pen and you think about, okay, this nasty guy's going to face him, this nasty guy faces him, I think it's almost a little bit easier to do it that way in a combo sense.
I thought Major League Baseball did a good job in not making a scoring change. R.A. Dickey of the Mets pitched a 1-hitter this week. David Wright at third base made an error in the first inning. Or at least...
Well, it was a hit.
Yeah, it was ruled a base hit, not an error. And the Mets petitioned for it to be changed to an error. But, again, a good job by Major League Baseball not making a scoring change on that one.
Absolutely, that was a good job. That was in the first inning of the game.
Bounce to the third baseman, Betterman, 1 away. And even R.A. Dickey himself said that it's different pitching knowing that you have not yet allowed a hit. There's a lot more pressure in the later innings.
And if we go back to the Mets challenging that, in the Johan Santana no-hitter, Beltran hit a ball off the chalk. It blew the chalk up. We saw it for the whole inning sitting there. Nobody petitioned on that one. You got to let that go, let things happen.
Here's Brian McCann, strike 1, and manager Terry Collins said, hey, why not take a chance, see what happens. I don't think the Mets even expected the play to be overturned.
Yeah, then don't do it. It's just me, Kenny.
Strike 2 says that Darryl Cousins, the third base umpire.
But they check, and I'm fine with that. And I think that'll eliminate a lot of arguments between hitters and home plate umpires if you just check down there. Because that guy has a view, and a much better view than the home plate umpire crouching behind the catcher.
And McCann is down on strikes. Hammel has retired 17 in a row.
Let's look at these 3 pitches to B-Mac right here. Fastball. There's the check swing that gets called. And then a backdoor breaking ball. I think you got away with that one. That's not where you want to throw the 0-2 pitch right there.
Well, here's Dan Uggla, who walked back in the second inning. And then bounced back to the pitcher Hammel in the 4th.
I think Dan was trying to get rid of the no-hitter and the shutout all in one swing right there. Which he does a lot.
Uggla, the only second baseman in Major League history to hit at least 20 home runs each of his first 6 seasons. 1-1 from Hammel, fouled off to the right side. Now 1-2.
Well, let's go back into the stat crazy world that we live in. And since 2006 or later, who's got the most homers? His name is Dan Uggla. 201 to Ryan Braun's 178 next on the list. Come on now.
2-2. Hammel just missing away.
Tell you what, Dan's looking hitterish right here. He's had some good swings. It looks like he's seeing the ball. He's not even offering at those. Be careful right here if I were you, Jason.
Payoff pitch to Ugla, fouled off.
And he threw him a breaking ball on a 3-2 count. And that's the beauty of this situation when you're looking in this no-no. It's a 5-0 game. It's 2 outs. If he walks him right here, yeah, he might say, you know what, so what? But if you're actually going to try to go for this no-hitter, that was a quality attempt to get him out with that 3-2 breaking ball.
So after retiring 17 in a row, Ugla walks for the second time tonight. He walked back in the second inning and again here in the 7th.
Now, I don't know if you want that same approach now, because if you go with that approach with Hayward up here, Hinsky on deck pops one, you know, now it's a 5-3 game all of a sudden. So I think there's some limitations, but with Ugla in the batter's box right there, he was looking pretty hitterish, and I think Jason understood that.
And remember, coming into the game tonight, Hayward 5 for 5 in his career against Hammel. He's retired him twice in tonight's game on a fly ball to the warning track and left, and a ground out to the second baseman Roberts.
Deep in his kitchen, too. Deep. All of a sudden, a lot of pitches are up in the strike zone right here. Don't know if adrenaline's going. I don't think he's gassed. I don't think he's throwing enough pitches to be gassed. Big, strong man. But he might be feeling a little bit of extra adrenaline right now. He's trying to rear back and get a couple miles per hour extra.
15th pitch of the inning, missing away, ball 3. He's thrown 82 in the game.
There'll be a visit. If he walks Hayward right here, there's going to be a visit for sure. You got to settle him down to say, okay, breathe a little bit. Let's go back to work.
2 outs, bottom of the 7th inning, the 3-0. Catching the outside corner, now 3-1.
That's a start. You can't come all the way back from 3-0 unless you get to 3-1.
The 3-1 from Hammel, now 3-2.
He's getting there. He's throwing pretty much everything away from Hayward right here. I wouldn't be surprised if Hayward just leans out there and see if he can't try to go deep to left center field. Think that way.
Payoff pitch and a base hit into left field. First hit of the game for the Braves. So Hammel, who took a no-hitter into the 8th inning in his first start as an Oriole, no hits the Braves here tonight for 6 2/3.
And that was a great approach right there by Jason, because everything was away. It looked like he was thinking about that the whole way. That wasn't a bad pitch by any stretch of the imagination, but you see how he just stayed on that? Wasn't the prettiest of swings. That's a big, strong man. Hits a missile to left field, Ugla to third. Now the fun begins. The no-no's gone. We've got something serious at home plate right here in Eric Hinsky. Eric could be calling for the field goal team right here. You never know.
Well, it figures that it was Hayward who breaks it up. He is now 6 for 8 lifetime against Hammel.
And that's one of those things, too, with numbers. It looked like Hammel really was looking at Ugla being the guy to actually do some damage off of. And he looked like he wanted to pitch around Dan. Didn't want any part of it.
So now Hinsky swings at the first pitch.
Nope.
And he flies out to the center fielder, Adam Jones. So the no-hitter comes to an end. The shutout still intact through 7. 5-0 Orioles. Welcome back to Atlanta Baseball Night in America. 8th inning. Chris Davis leading off for the Orioles, who lead 5-0. Braves with only 1 hit. Jason Hammel took a no-hitter into the 7th. Retired the first 2 Braves, walked Douglas, and then Jason Hayward broke up the no-hitter with a base hit to left field. So, Bill, the last Orioles no-hitter, July 13th, 1991, a combined
yes, it was
no-hitter. Bob Malachy, the late Mike Flanagan, Mark Williamson, and Greg Olson combined to no-hit Oakland, July 13th, 1991.
I remember that. And you know what? The combined no-hitters, it's not like you go out there and throw the big dog pile party on the guy because it's not one guy doing it. But that game, if I remember correctly, was a 2-0 game. We beat Oakland. And when Ole came in, I mean, Ole had one of the nastiest hammers going, period. And he's facing the heart of that lineup with the game on the line the whole way. It was just an exciting game all the way around, but still being a part of that combined no-hitter was pretty cool.
Davis down on strikes. Another look at the Jason Hayward base hit.
And I tell you what, that's a moving fastball away, and that's kind of a little bit into Jason Hayward's strength because he can go out there. He's got long frame. Hammel knew right away. He knew.
My question to you, Bill,
yes, sir?
As Adam Jones swings and misses, 0-1. Were you in the lineup
yes.
when the Orioles no-hit the Braves?
No.
Jim Hughes back on April 22nd, 1898.
See, now that's just flat out wrong.
No?
I thought you were talking about the combined no-hitter again. You went into the 1800s. Something really wrong with that.
Just checking.
All right. Check somewhere else.
Right back to the box, Martinez. Could not be handled by Hinsky. So a one-out base runner for the Orioles.
I'm not so sure. I'm going to have to look at this one again, but as good as Hinsky was on that pick in the dirt earlier and made that play right there, I think he took this one a little bit more for granted. Wasn't the greatest throws in the world, but he didn't really bust over there and get to the bag and set up in the proper manner. That's a play that has to be executed. You got to get outs on those plays.
So Jones on at first. Error charged to the first baseman, Hinsky.
I mean, that's a tough error in spring training day one. When we go down to spring training, it's PFPs, pitching fielding practice. And when you hit balls back to the mound, everybody's yelling, catcher, coaches, step and throw. Pitchers are a unique breed because they can stand 60 feet 6 inches away and throw 94 mile an hour and with pinpoint control. You put them out there in the actual action of the game, sometimes they don't throw so good.
Jason Hammel has been terrific tonight. Looking for his 7th win of the season as Wieters takes ball 3. Orioles 2 runs in the 4th, a run in the 5th, 2 more in the 7th.
And certainly what you don't want to have, and I'm going to call that a team error. Certainly behind a play like that, you don't want to just go out there and fall 3-0 behind the next guy and then walk them. We've got to get our concentration back, and we've got to start moving forward. We can't worry about what just happened.
Here comes Roger McDowell once again.
And I think that's the pace that Roger's got right there. I think he's coming out to say, look, let's go. Things happen, and the next thing you know, you threw 4 wide ones. Best thing that can happen after you have a team error or a bad play like that, you bear down, you get the next guy to hit a ground ball to the second baseman, you go 4-6-3 double play, you're back in the dugout. That was definitely short and sweet by Roger. And you can tell by the pace. There was a little bit of a message behind that meeting.
Martinez will now face Reynolds, who drove in the Orioles' first 2 runs back in the 4th inning. Jones at second, Wieters over at first. Freddie Gonzalez And the Braves 4-2 winners last night after losing each of their previous 4 games. Orioles had a 5-game win streak come to an end last night. Braves bullpen allowing 4 runs on 6 hits after Beachy left due to right elbow soreness. Reynolds with a broken bat, ground ball. And they get the double play we were talking about.
I think Roger went out there and schooled him a little bit and said, let's go to work. Let's go.
Whatever he said worked. Middle of the 8th, 5-0 Orioles. Budweiser is sponsored by Michelin, a better way forward. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Bottom of the 8th inning in Atlanta. New right fielder for the Orioles, Ryan Flaherty, replacing Chris Davis, as Andrelton Simmons leads off for the Braves against Jason Hammel here in the 8th. Hammel 6 2/3 innings of no-hit ball. Jason Hayward breaking up the no-hitter with a single to left field in the bottom of the 7th. Now 1-2 on Simmons, with Juan Francisco waiting on deck.
And it's looked so far like Hammel's come back out. He's composed himself. Fell by him, but then 2 nasty breaking balls right there. As you can see, 7 innings pitched, just the 1 hit, 2 walks, but 6 punches. 7 punches.
Simmons down on strikes. So what do you think of Matt Cain's performance earlier this week?
That was awesome. It really was. And Cain, when you watch him throw, once again, doesn't light up the radar gun. 92, 93, changeup at 85, which is really not the norm. Usually they want that 10-mile-an-hour separation, but it must have some good action or very deceptive. A little bit of a breaking ball, but if we go back a couple years ago with Cain in the postseason, didn't give up a run. So do you think the crowd and all that kind of stuff got him riled up? I don't think so. Looked like he was composed. Of course, a couple great plays behind him. That never hurt.
He said it had the feel of a World Series game.
And he went out there and punched out 14. You know, the only inning he didn't strike anybody out in, I believe, was the 9th. And I think he made some really quality pitches in the 9th inning. They were, you know, kind of pressing him and everything else, but what a performance.
Second perfect game this season. There have never been more than 2 in 1 year.
Should I go out on my limb / mini branch and say there might be another one this year and this might be the year? And there's been a lot of guys that have been, flirting with the no-nos this year.
You're right. The way things have gone this year, it would not be surprising as Francisco grounds out. Now 2 away.
Looking back at Hammel, hitting spots down and away. I think that was just early in the day. Prado didn't have much chance there. Francisco going down. Hayward with the knock finally. Leaning out over the plate, hit a missile to left field. Certainly looks like Jason is rebounded, though. I think he went in the dugout, collected himself, and said, okay, you know what? A one-hit shutout's not a bad thing either. Let me go out there and see if I can't get this thing done.
Matt Diaz pinch hitting for Martinez. Diaz 4 for 17 as a pinch hitter this season.
How about that? You come out as a pinch hitter, right? You've been sitting in your dugout. You've been watching a guy dominate. And then you sit up there and go, okay, now it's my turn? Really? Not that loose. And then you find yourself down 0-2 in the count, first 2 pitches.
3 pitches, he strikes out.
0-3 in the count, first 3 pitches. That's not an easy thing to be doing.
Hammel dominant through 8 innings. Top of the 9th inning in Atlanta. Orioles lead the Braves 5-0. The 4th Atlanta pitcher of the night is 27-year-old left-hander Johnny Venters, making his 31st appearance. On the ground to the third baseman Francisco for out number 1. Once again, let's listen. Home plate umpire Ron Culpa wearing a microphone tonight.
You ever caught a no-hitter?
He threw a 2-hitter near his first pitch in the A's first start of the year. That's close as I've ever been.
I had one 6 years ago.
So Culpa asking Orioles catcher Matt Wieters if he ever caught a no-hitter. Wieters referring to Hammel's first start this season. Took a no-hitter into the 8th, and Culpa was behind the plate back in June of 2007 when Justin Verlander no-hit the Milwaukee Brewers.
So he jinxed him. He started talking about it.
He did.
If you're a superstitious person.
Unless that conversation took place after the Hayward hit.
That's right. That's a good point.
We'll have to check the time code.
You know, it's so funny, too, in that superstitious world when they leave the starting pitcher alone in the dugout. Don't you think that's worse when people get up and part like the Red Sea when he comes to sit down? How about just sit next to him and keep talking to him? Tell him some jokes. See what's going on.
Is that what you did as a player?
No, I don't remember being really around too many of them that were that close. It's that combined game, and you're playing in it. And then you got relievers in there and everything else. But wasn't it Burley threw the perfect game? He's looking for people to talk to. I mean, I think everybody, when they show that shot in the dugout where the guy's sitting there by himself, that's worse.
I guess it depends on the mentality of the respective pitcher.
Guess you might be right.
Quickly 2 away here in the top of the 9th inning as Hammel will bat for himself and stay in the game. Orioles have not pitched a complete game this season.
And go back to that mentality of the starting pitcher. They're starting pitchers that cannot be messed with every 5th day when it's their turn. But yet they can mess with you every single day when you're a position player going out there playing. Hammel's having himself a day. Don't you pull anything. Attaboy.
Is tagged out by Hinsky. They share a laugh. And when we come back, Hammel will try and finish off a complete game shutout of the Braves. The Orioles leading the Braves 5-0. We take you back to the 5th inning. Ryan Roberts driving in the Orioles' 3rd run, and then he drove in 2 more in the 7th. Mazda better, stronger, smarter. As Jason Hammel quickly retires Michael Bourne for the first out here in the bottom of the 9th, and this now becomes the longest outing of Hammel's major league career. It's his 128th career start. He has thrown 1 complete game back in 2009, but it was an 8-inning complete game.
I see where you're coming up with that. been a good night. I mean, he's really, for the most part, been able to keep that fastball down there. You know, if he's going to miss, he's going to miss down. A couple times he's walked Dan Uggla. It's been on balls that were up. But for the most part, he's been able to command the strike zone, stay out of the middle of the plate. Really good night. Eat up some left-hand hitters. I mean, Hayward got him for the one knock, but he's been living in on some lefties tonight.
1-1 to Prado, now 1-2. Great job by our entire crew tonight here in Atlanta. Producer Larry Lancaster, director Derek Manning from Annapolis, Maryland.
Oh, yeah, homeboy.
Exactly. The associate director, Kathy Hunt. Broadcast associate, Paul Marmero. Executive producers of the pregame show, Don Bowie and Mike Santini. Here's the 1-2 right back to the box, fielded by Hammel. Now 2 away. The producer of the pregame show, Rich Ciancimino. And the director is Mark Deaver. Marty Aronoff crunching the numbers for us tonight, along with Jason Thornberry.
A big league crew out there at the network on that pregame. Wow.
How about that? Mike Messina with the last one-hit shutout for the Orioles back in 2000.
And if I'm not mistaken, he was flirting with Perfecto in that day.
Backhanded by Roberts. The throw to first to retire McCann. A complete game, one-hit shutout for Jason Hammel, who raises his record to 7-2. The only hit for the Atlanta Braves on 103 pitches thrown by Hammel. A Jason Hayward single with 2 outs in the 7th.
Pretty impressive, I tell you what. That was actually J.J. Hardy, though, because the shift was in play. A backhand by the shortstop for the last out.
So the Orioles celebrate. A one-hitter for Hammel. That Vescursion from the MLB Network when we return. For Bill Rifkin, Kenny Albert saying so long from Atlanta. Orioles win it 5-0.